The iRacing Road Pro Series enters a new year in 2016, and what a circuit to start the year off with. Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium hosts round 7 of the series. The 7-kilometer clockwise layout incorporates 20 turns, 9 to the left, 11 to the right, including a pit lane speed limit of only 60 kilometers an hour. And what about a whopping 97-meter elevation change, all laser scanned and brought to iRacing. The race itself will run a full Grand Prix distance, as always, 44 laps to challenge the drivers later today. For now, it is Fernando Guerrero from Positive Sim Racing who takes us on board for a lap around the world-famous motor racing venue. The lap, as always, begins before the start-finish line. Absolutely crucial to get a great run out of the final chicane, as you see Fernando running wide, straightening the car as he crosses the line to begin the lap. Diagonal across the front straight as you position yourself for turn 1. La Source, small dip on the apex. The front end wants to understeer constantly. The rear end also steps away. That's cost Fernando a tenth or two across this next long straight. Now let's listen through the world-famous Eau Rouge. Full throttle for the Positive Sim Racing car. A small breath of fresh air now across the Camel Straight, up to 304 kilometers an hour in the Williams FW31. Braking for Lecom. Grip and suspension in the setup critical as you balance the car with that right foot. The corners progress slowly and then on towards turn 10. Downhill, trail braking. Wait for the front end to bite. Once again, the front anti-roll bar critical, as it needs to be ideal through this complex of the racetrack. Don't run too wide on the exit here at turn 11. The exit cuts in on you, and then on towards the beautiful, scintillating, fast-sweeping turn 12. Huon, 258 kilometers an hour, the slowest speed through that apex, and on towards turn 13. This can be an overtaking opportunity if you get Puon wrong, so watch for some drivers attempting some overtakes here later today. And then the tight Stavilo on towards curb Paul Frere. A small bump here on the apex that can unsettle the car through high speeds. And then this is where Formula 1's Max Verstappen practices moves on iRacing. Launch him on with Atsej Kirchhoff, the 2011 Road Pro Series winner. Scrubbing minimal speed as you reach 308 kilometers an hour, and then hard on the brakes for the final chicane. Using as little oh, he has a small little moment there, as you can see as well. Staying to the right to minimize the distance to the line. A 1 minute 46.511 for Fernando Guerrero, who is on the bubble in terms of making the top 25 and obtaining a World Championship license. So let's see if he finishes the season off strong and starts off 2016 with a vengeance to win here today. Qualifying is on the other side of the ad break. Do not leave us. You're watching the 2015 iRacing Road Pro Series.
The outside contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
A new year beckons for 2016 as drivers still fight for the 25 licenses that will enable them to race in the 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We now enter Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium for round 7 of the 9-round series for the 2015 iRacing Road Pro Series, which is live today on iRacingLive and RaceSpotTV. Last time out at Watkins Glen, it was Yalvaz and the Orion Racing team with David Corps in second place, who claimed their first win of the season and their first one too. Can they finish off the season strong after the Christmas holiday break? Will anybody else down the order step up and prove their worth as the final chances loom towards the end of the series? Good afternoon, everybody. Johnny Simon in the commentary booth alongside Paul Smith for today. We're now in qualifying with 6 minutes and 48 seconds remaining. And Paul, we enter a period of the series where drivers start to aim to claim those extra points where possible to ensure they lock themselves in and claim that license for the 2016 World Championship. But no more drop rounds are allowed after round 7. So from this round onwards for 7, 8 and 9. So they need to be in tip-top shape to end the journey.
Good afternoon, Johnny. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you enjoy the show today. Yes, it's really the time where the pressure starts to really apply, and these drivers, they've got to put the pressure on themselves and on the teammates to try and get that extra edge, that extra speed out of themselves and out of the team to be able to challenge and get those one of those World Championship drives. And Spa-Francorchamps, we're here. It's a fantastic track. I've actually been there for the Grand Prix weekend, so it really is a historic Grand Prix track, and one that's produces very good at racing.
Well, Spa-Francorchamps, as you saw in the track guide a few minutes ago with Fernando Guerrero from Positive Sim Racing, 7 kilometers clockwise, 20 turns, 9 to the left, 11 to the right, which will challenge the drivers for 44 laps of racing. Now, we don't see that whopping 97-meter elevation change with Marcus Caton right now. He's coming through Blanchimont. This is really the smooth area of the track, but this final chicane, Paul, is very critical. A lot of drivers get nervous here and butcher the lap towards the end or closing stages, but Caton right there, very smooth. He'll cross the line shortly, and he's currently in P7. Does he improve? Or I think he does begin a lap there, Paul. So now we are going to see the elevation change as he passes La Source.
Yeah, you don't, when you watch racing on TV and when you do it on the sim here, you do not realise how steep this hill is up through Eau Rouge. It is unbelievably steep. It takes your breath away the first time that you see cars going flat out through there, which Caton has certainly done there, up the Kemmel Straight, should I say, because it's uphill all the way here to the Le Con chicane. And you're going to be very light on the brakes to get it in there, just clip the curves a little bit through this right-hander here, and so far so good for Caton.
Yeah, right now he comes towards turn 10, downhill, trail braking through the corner. He hugs that curb well right there from Marcus Caton. Once again, hugging the curb, not too wide on the exit. This is a great lap so far. He's currently in P8 now as Riley Preston improves. Well, he's currently in first position with a 1 minute 46.687. We're expecting the times to improve over the next 4 minutes as the session closes and ticks down towards 0. Michael Dinkel in second. David Corps there, who finished second out at Watkins Glen here, Paul, is currently third in qualifying. So the Orion race team with Yavaz also in 6th position. They've had a great improvement at Watkins Glen. Yes, they did take advantage of a few drivers who weren't attending and a few drivers who did crash out, but they won the race and they were classified in first and second in the end, so you can't argue with that.
Yeah, absolutely. To finish first you must finish, and that's certainly what they did with that team, 1-2. And as we said on our little podcast, maybe it's all about getting that momentum and taking it forward. Oh, as Caton just loses the back end a little bit through the bus stop chicane there, and that's cost him a few tenths of a second there, and so didn't improve on that lap.
Yeah, butchered his chances of improving his time. So right there, Marcus Caton still in 8th position. Look at Yuta Saito and Peter Berryman right now, but Yuta Saito is coming through past Eau Rouge right now, so he's on towards La Source. Peter Berryman's through the middle part of his lap. Now for Yuta Saito, who was on pole position at... no, sorry, that was Yuho Wave. I'm getting confused with names here. Excuse me, Paul. But Yuta Saito, who was on the front row at Interlagos, He's had a decent season, but not as good as he should have, and he's another driver that struggles with consistency, and I guess today his aim would be just to finish the race.
Yeah, finish the race, get some points on the board, because he's not had the best of luck this season, has he really? So, yeah, able to just get those points on the board and looking for a good result, because he is up there, as we say, what now, 5th place, because Danny Garcia Falola's gone 2nd fastest now. So yeah, Yuta Saito, he needs a good result, needs to get some good scores in the next 3 races.
Well, right now, as Peter Berryman comes towards the last chicane, hopefully this is a lap, because we saw Caton before. Peter will cross the line, completes his lap, and he jumps up into 2nd position. Great stuff from Peter Berryman for the Apex Racing UK team, just 0.02 of a second ahead of Danny Garcia Falol. Now, Danny Garcia Falol was on pole position twice this season. For Yuta Saito though, front row at Interlagos. Can he claim pole position as he ends his lap right now across the line? And he improves to P2 ahead of Peter Berryman, but it's still Riley Preston on pole position. What a lap time from Riley Preston there, Paul. Yeah,
0.4 of a second faster. Just noticed Michael Dinkel's on a lap as well. He's currently in 6th place, and he's just coming round through Stavolo now and onto the back section now and coming towards Blanchimont. But yeah, fantastic time from Riley Preston. Yao Vaz, though, gets within 0.2 of him.
Yeah, Yao Vaz, what a time from him, and he's on the front row right now. This is the only qualifying session with 1 minute and 7 seconds to go. The groups aren't split. 31 drivers out here today fighting for pole position. For now, though, it's Michael Dinkel crosses the final chicane, comes across the line as well, currently in P7, and he improves to 5th on the grid. Excellent stuff from Michael Dinkel. Graham Carroll, though, ahead in 4th position, an excellent time as well, and he bumps Peter Berryman down to 6th position.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dinkel, he must have been listening to our advice to get that lap time in. But yeah, he certainly put a good lap time in that 5th place. And well, we've got Martin van Loosenhoed still out on the lap as well. I think he's about the last of the runners really to set a lap time.
Yeah, Martin van Loosenhoed's had a good season so far, and another guy from the Apex Racing UK team who's quite impressed, you could say, this season, but not so far in this qualifying session. Now, this is not a valid lap for him, so I believe that his session is over because you have to complete the lap before the timer ticks to 0, and I don't think that is going to happen. No, it won't. So the session is all but over, and that is the end to our grid here, Paul, as Riley Preston takes pole position. Amazing stuff. And, wow. I mean, you could say right now, Paul, that with Riley Preston on pole, one of the underrated drivers this season, he is on par now to take a win, and a memorable win for his sim racing career.
This is the best opportunity he's got, you'd say, so far this season to be able to get a win. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with the pressure on the at the start of the race, though, because that's a lot of hungry drivers behind him. They'll be wanting that 1st place.
Alright, we look at the qualifying results for round 7 at Spa, and it is Riley Preston who claims pole position by 0.2 of a second ahead of last round winner Yao Vaz, who joins him on the front row for the Orion Racing team. Yuta Saito and Graham Carroll, our championship leader, they share the 2nd row of the grid. Behind them, it is the German Michael Dinkel alongside Peter Berryman in 6th position. The rest of the top 10, Danny Garcia Falol for Iberica Racing, good qualifying performance from him in 7th. There's David de Corps in 8th, Marcus Hamilton and Dimitri Yanis round out the top 10. Down the order as well, a few notable names: Marin Cholak, Pablo Lopez in 12th and 13th. Ricardo Torres, who began the session on top, ends up in 15th. Cam Stark in 16th position. Willie one stop today. It'll be very doubtful at Spa. What about Martin van Loosenhoed? Very poor qualifying performance from him, but he's had a good season so far, so he'll try to finish off strong. Kevin Siggy as well in 20th. Riku Alatalo down in 24th as well. What about Diogo Oliveira? That's one of his worst qualifying performances down there in 26th. And rounding out the grid is Justin Lindsay and Fernando Guerrero at the back. Do not leave us. We'll wrap up qualifying in just a few minutes' time. You're watching the 2015 iRacing Road Pro Series live on iRacingLive and RaceSpotTV. Qualifying for round 7 of the iRacing Road Pro Series for 2015 to 16 is all but wrapped up, and it was the Aussie Riley Preston for Evolution Racing Australia taking pole position with a 1 minute 46.645, and will ride on board with the young Australian for a lap around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit on his pursuit towards pole position. A wonderful lap from Riley Preston. 6 out of 7 drivers have been on pole position for this Road Pro Series, and Riley Preston joins that list. Now, Paul, watching the lap there, absolutely spot on for Riley Preston. Not a millimeter's width left between off track and the racing line. He's really pushed to the limit there, and it goes to show he was on pole position by over 2/10.
Hey, that is pretty much what you'd want to do for a lap right there around Spa. He was absolutely inch perfect around hitting each of the apexes. Had to just get a little bit out of the gas up at the Lacombe chicane, but nothing too serious, and was able to just get it just as I say, right on the apexes of the corner. A real good lap, impressive from Riley. And I'd be interested to see now if he can take that pace into the race now, because 44 laps around this track, it's going to be tough.
Now, another thing to note on that lap was at the final chicane, he hit that sweet spot on the entry where the camber is absolutely perfect to carry the most speed into the corner and still set yourself up for that second part of the chicane. Now, the problem is for Riley is that goes to show that the car balance is absolutely perfect. Now, he's on a team of Evolution Racing Australia. We don't know who maybe he's working with behind the scenes, whether he's with other teams around him. But, you know, at the moment, heading into the World Championship, if he's producing performances like this and he's rapidly improving, he's going to enter a new car with the McLaren. He's going to need that supporting cast around him, which is oh so important in sim racing.
It certainly is, and you'd want that supporting cast to have that ability and have many of them to be able to work together with each other so that you can get the best out of the car, get the best setups for the car, and get that consistency that you need for the race. So, as we say, Riley, it's not got many teammates around him, has he? That we know of. Certainly not in this series.
Pro Series.
In the Pro Series. So it'd be tough to see in terms of if he does make it into the World Championship, to see what happens with him, to see how his performance is, whether they carry on with this improvement or whether there's just a little bit of a dip.
Now we look at the championship standings coming into this round. Graham Carroll leads on 174 points, ahead of Marin Cholak, 19 points behind in second place. Then it's Martin van Loozenord in third. Now, Graham Carroll's qualified in fourth. Then you look at Marin Cholak in 12th and Martin van Loozenord in 18th. We look at the other championship rivals. Danny Garcia-Filol down there in 7th. Mac Backham not here today. Peter Berryman, who's his teammate as well, who's down the order in 6th. Graham Carroll, it's not that he's been overlooked this season, but it's sort of, we think that he's been so consistent, we've undermined his pace as well. And today he's gone to show that, yes, he's consistent, but at the same time, he's always had the pace in the first place, and that's what you need to succeed in these F1 cars.
Yeah, certainly, absolutely. Well, in any championship, really, you need that pace, and Graham is certainly showing it that he's still able. I mean, you look at he's not that far off of Yuta Saito as well. He would only be sort of 5 thousandths of a second off of third place. So he's really got the pace here today, and as we say, his championship rivals not really, just struggling a little bit today with the track. Maybe the conditions, maybe it's the setup's just not quite working for them in the qualifying.
Now, another guy who's qualified down the order is Jonas Nukarainen in 28th. Now, it's quite obvious that we've seen a lot better from Jonas, and he probably hasn't put that much effort into this round. For Mac and Radicals right now, it's quite obvious that Mac isn't going for the championship. He feels like he's got that license racked up. But for some drivers who haven't got that license racked up, you talk about Fernando Guerrero, who's qualified in last position. Justin Lindsay, who's on the, very, very far behind right now, from 25th place, who's 92 points behind the leader. Justin Lindsay's 117 points behind the leader, so that's 25 he has to make up, Paul. Do you really think it's possible for Justin Lindsay, who could help his Coanda team there, who've got a new sponsor? Is it VRS, I think? I had it listed. Yeah, there we go. So the new Coanda SimSport team, who are looking good for 2016. Justin will certainly want to be part of that cast.
He certainly would want to be a part of that cast, and I don't know what's happening there. It seems to be not quite on the pace in this season in the Pro Series, and a bit of a disappointment really. You'd be expecting more from that, and it's maybe going to cost him a World Championship spot, which would be a disaster for Justin. For his prospects.
Yeah, the VRS Coanda SimSport team is confirmed a new name for them, so they're rebranded and hopefully winning that World Championship this year. They'll be looking to knock off Redline and Hutu, who did win 5 right now. Final thing before we take our last commercial break before the start of the race. It's a hectic top 10 right now. You've got a variant amount of drivers, Paul. It's like you've scrambled this grid up in a way. You've got top drivers in there, drivers you wouldn't expect as well. It goes to show that hard work over the holiday break, it pays off in sim racing. People undermine it. People think that it's just about natural talent, but there's a lot of stuff you can do behind the scenes in the world of iRacing where you can improve yourself, such as working with teammates, such as telemetry, and it all comes into play right now as we see some improvements, especially from Riley Preston.
Well, that's it. I mean, if anything, none of the drivers have an excuse for this round, really, because they've had the most amount of time to practice for this other than the first round of this championship. So it's, they should be a lot closer together than they actually are. I mean, it's still pretty close to say that, because there's, 1 second covering first to 22nd, 23rd. Even 24th even. So, it just keeps on going. So that top 25 or so within 1 second of each other. So it is pretty close in lap time wise. So, but, one little mistake here and there and it can cost you several places on the grid.
Yeah, definitely. And here we go. Race time coming up soon. I'm so pumped for this one. Do not leave us. Don't forget, live timing as always is available on RaceSpot.tv/timing. For now though, the race coming up in a few minutes time. You're watching the iRacing Road Pro Series for 2015 to 16.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, you know, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, you know, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only going to see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. You know, it's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and you know, the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and you know, every year I've come here, this is being my 4th year, you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race. So it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads. So when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that into our work and making sure that the Le Mans in iRacing is the best Le Mans, the most exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
It's race time for the 2015 to 16 iRacing Road Pro Series from the Spa-Francorchamps circuit for round 7. Qualifying all but over, but the race is up next in a second as the drivers conclude their warm-up session, their practice starts, and everything else as we look at the grid for today's event. It is Riley Preston on pole position alongside Yao Vaz and Yuta Saito and Graham Carroll. The ever so speedy second row of the grid will be attacking those two at the top. And it's Michael Dinkel in 5th, Peter Berryman in 6th, the rest of the top 10, Danny Garcia for Lowell, David Corpse, Marcus Hamilton, Dimitri Yannis, the rest of the grid on your screen as you can see them. Now Paul, this is ever so nervous this time. When you take to the grid and you prepare yourself for the start of the race, the nerves build up. How can you handle it as a driver in this situation?
It's all about keeping your nerve. It's all about just making sure that you control your breathing, that you don't get yourself too worked up, and just don't put too much pressure on yourself. You know, it's all about making that good start. Just concentrate, focus on that first lap, and then the rest of it will just come to you. But for Riley, it's going to be interesting because he has got quite a few quick drivers behind him, and it's going to be interesting to see whether he can keep in front and see how the race progresses.
Well, unfortunately, due to technical issues, live timing is not available for this event, but you can still stay tuned with us. We'll update you on everything with lap times, etc. along the way. But for now, it is Riley Preston who awaits the 5 lights to illuminate in just 10 to 15 seconds time. But what can Yao Vaz do? Can he claim his second race win of the season? What about Yuta Saito? 2 top 5 results this season. Can he claim a race win? Or maybe a third top 5? As the drivers wait and the lights illuminate, 44 laps of racing, and we go green at Spa. Great start from Yao Vaz from second on the grid, attacking Riley Preston into turn 1. Down the order as well, it's Graham Carroll alongside Yuta Saito. Carroll straight off the racetrack. And what about Michael Dinkel from 5th to 3rd? A great start as they run down to a roof side by side. Riley Preston and Yao Vaz for the lead. It's side by side again. Preston succumbs to the pressure and Vaz takes the lead. Almost a bit of contact in the back as well as Dinkel also almost collects Riley Preston there. 3 wide on the run down to La Source.
It's just absolutely fantastic. Down towards now the Lecom chicane, and well, Riley Preston not the best start, but still in that second place. One of the Apex cars running wide there through the second part of the Lecom chicane. But it's all just tightening up there. Michael Dinkel just dropping back as well. A little bit of contact and Dinkel's off.
Oh, Dinkel off the racetrack as well. Oh, unfortunate for him right there. We'll get a replay soon enough. But what about David Corpse from 8th on the grid to 4th? And for Dinkel, after Preston slowed him down, after he had to let Vaz through, nothing that Preston did that was wrong, but a bit of a bottleneck as well. It's cost Michael Dinkel dearly. It put him back into the pack. He spun off the racetrack. And at the moment, not the best way as Michael Dinkel rejoins the racetrack. But for Yao Vaz, he leads this race. It seemed to me, though, that Preston just didn't want to go side by side. I think he could have taken it to Vaz. He was just being a little bit too cautious there.
Maybe being cautious, or maybe thinking the long game, he can get a good result rather than crashing at the up at Beau Rouge, because if you have an accident there, it's a big one, and it could have caused everyone to have an accident. So maybe doing the right thing, thinking the long game, maybe thinking he's got the pace to be able to challenge through this race, and but he's already 0.7 of a second behind Yao Vaz, so he's going to get a move on now. But it was also with Michael Dinkel, it was Marin Cholak that he got together with down at Rivage.
At the end of the first lap, it's Yao Vaz ahead of Riley Preston. A little bit of a battle here with the number 38 car. That is Dimitri Yannis right now on the exit of La Source. Now, for Dimitri Yannis, he was battling ahead with Marcus Caton. Caton's looked very strong this round. And on the exit of Rouge and Radillon, here's Dimitri Yannis here on the attack on Marcus Caton for 9th position. And he claims that spot on lap 2 of the event. And what about Cam Stark right here as well, trying to get Marcus Caton as well. A double whammy for Marcus. And Cam Stark maybe 2 positions in one corner. Not enough room for him. But a great aggression there from Cam Stark. And if he's on a one-stop pull, we doubt it. But if he is, that's great aggression in the early stages of the race.
I think with that sort of aggressive driving from Cam, I think he's on a 2-stop now looking at that. But yeah, you can get such a strong slipstream from that down that Kemmel straight, and if you get the better exit out of Radiol, Then it'll carry all the way up the hill towards Lecon.
Here's Ricardo Torres under attack from Riku Alatalo. Now Riku started in 24th on the grid, on the attack side by side into turn 13 here. Oh, what a move from Riku Alatalo, and he's claimed P14 away from Ricardo Torres there from the Vortex Sim Racing team. So Riku Alatalo, what a move at campus, now on towards Kurt Paul Frere. Riku Alatalo, I've been watching him throughout the early laps, one of those drivers who've gained an immense amount of positions. Here's Pablo Lopez as well on towards Blanchimont.
Absolutely, you look at them through Blanchimont, it's flat out, they just carry that speed through, and now, as we say, Torres is under pressure from behind from Tomo Meglic, but yeah, Meglic going around the outside into the first part, trying to go around the inside of the second part of the bus stop, but now Meglic is under attack as well.
Oh, here's Eunice Nukarainen right now, attacking, that's Pablo Lopez. Oh, right behind, is that Martin van Loosenhoorn? Almost seemed he got caught unaware about the early braking from the drivers in front, but the lead is with Yao Vaz, who leads by 1 second ahead of Yuta Saito. Riley Preston's dropped down to 3rd, so Saito's got past Riley Preston in the meantime. David Corps from 8th on the grid is up into 4th. There's Graham Carroll in the 5th position. Marin Cholak from 12th on the grid to 6th. Great start from him. What about Marcus Hamilton? 7th position. He needs a strong result in the Pro Series. Peter Berryman's dropped 2 positions from 6th to 8th. There's Dimitri Yanis and Cam Stark rounding out the top 10. Down the order though, what a start there from Riku Alatalo we mentioned. Michael Dinkel still dropped down the field, but he's caught up to the back of the pack right there. So Mario Kart style, Paul. He's clinched his way back up, and he's going to try and make his way through the field.
I'm surprised Michael hasn't got damage on that car, because it was a little bit of a hit, but more wheel to wheel maybe. But yeah, Michael having to make a recovery drive, and unfortunate for him, he's down in that 25th place at the moment. But as you say, only 1.2 seconds behind Justin Lindsay, so you would have thought with Michael and his pace that he'd be able to make that place up.
Yeah, that contact with Michael Dinkel was with Marin Cholak, so Cholak's currently in 6th position. Seemed to be maybe the stewards will have a look at that later on. It seemed like Michael gave a little bit of room, but Cholak also did run a little bit deep into the corner. Probably a racing incident anyway. We'll look at replays of the start in the meantime. And it was an immense start here, Paul. You look at Yao Vaz on the grid, attacking Riley Preston straight away at the start. It was great stuff and great aggression from the Orion Race Team member.
Yeah, he took the wide line through the La Source hairpin at the start of the race to try and carry that bit more pace, speed down the hill towards Eau Rouge, and he certainly made it count with Yao Vaz, but there was other cars going off around the back as well. But look at this, Riley Preston on the attack now on Yuta Saito and through.
Yep, Preston straight into the 2nd position on lap 4 of 44 for this event. Great stuff from Riley Preston, and Yuta Saito drops back down to 3rd, so they did swap positions for the 2nd time. And Pablo Lopez on the radio right now. It seems to me like maybe he's a little bit frustrated down the order, who knows. He needs a strong result as well. There's so many drivers who need some strong results, and now we will indeed look at the replays of the start.
So yeah, as we said, a really good start from Yao Vaz to get away from the line and make that move round the outside and then down on the inside into Eau Rouge. I'll get that right sometime. But yeah, as I said, further back there were a few cars, and there was a bit of contact as well further back down the hill towards Eau Rouge with one of the Apex cars by the looks of things. Yeah,
there was definitely indeed. And at the start at La Source, there was Graham Carroll, who had to run wide to give the others room, and it seemed like he ran wide on purpose just because he didn't want to get involved in any contact. That's something that I would have done in that situation as well. And right now, Graham Carroll is right on the back of Orion Racing Team's David Corps and the battle for P4, and Graham has been really the Jensen Button this series, you could say, Paul. So consistent, and he's claimed a couple of race wins to go with that as well. He's definitely been Apex strongest driver so far, but the likes of Peter Berryman wants to fight for those honours as well. Yes, they're teammates, but Peter's had the potential, and he's down in 8th. Now, for Peter, who's struggling a bit this race in the early stages, he's 1 second behind Marcus Hamilton. It seems to me that Peter might need to do it on strategy this race, Paul, and maybe go longer in this first stint, so hopefully he's doing exactly that, as Graham's right on the back of David Corps and on the inside to La Source for P4.
So yeah, so it's It's going to be difficult for Peter. He's 8th place, as we say. Is he going longer? Because it might be worth going longer in this first stint. Maybe go for a quick middle stint and then fill it up for the end. So be interested to see how the strategy pans out, because there's only 44 laps. So in terms of, it's a long lap here. So it's not that the pit windows aren't really that wide in terms of which lap you come in. So even maybe 1, maybe 2 laps going longer will work out for him.
Right now for Graham Carroll, he's 1.9 seconds behind Preston and Saito. And for Carroll, let's see his lap times. He was in the 49s last lap around. And the only 3 drivers in the 1 minute 49s last lap were Yalvaz, Riley Preston and Graham Carroll. Now we know that Yuta Saito did get passed on the racetrack. So right now, these top 4 drivers could be pulling away from the rest of the pack. And it may be early days talking about this, Paul, but it's really important in the early stages to build that lead in the early laps, because this is where drivers are all settling up into formation, and this is where the biggest gaps are extruded. So you want to be right up there fighting and gaining that lap time as early on as you can.
I like that word, extruded. But yes, Graham Carroll certainly is on it now. He's managed to get past David Decor, so 4th place, and he was the only one in the 149s that lap. So he's slowly gaining on those guys in front of him, and you decide to Riley Preston even. Maybe you don't want to fight it out and just take it easy and not fight each other.
Here's Marcus Hamilton on the back of Marin Cholak, and I think he's got past the Iberica Racing driver. He has, as Cholak lets him through towards La Source. And Marcus Hamilton's having a great race in the early stages on lap 6. He's currently in the 6th position as well. He's right behind Davide Corps now, who's next on his checklist. Oh, and Cholak. Oh, I think he might have even tapped Marcus Hamilton there. Very, very deep under braking. Sort of similar to what happened between him and Dinkel on the first lap. So Cholak not really trying to give up on that 6th position too easily there, Paul.
No, certainly not. And maybe just just trying to look at that front wing, and no, there's no damage on it, so maybe just getting really close, not quite making contact, but he's run wide through the Fania chicane, the first part of the Fania chicane, so that's cost him a little bit of time on Marcus.
So Toma Meglic has technical issues. I think he's definitely had something gone wrong. He went straight off the racetrack and has some damage to that race car as well, the TNT racing car. Diogo Oliveira is trying to pass him right now for that 24th position. And I think Meglic should return to the pits and repair that car. Who knows? But here's Martin Van Loosenhoord and Riku Alatalo side by side. And Van Loosenhoord gets past Riku at Blanchimont. Great stuff from the both of them. And can Riku fight back here? This will be very interesting. No, he lets Martin through. So Martin's making his way up through the field. This is where we saw Max Verstappen and Artse Kirchhoff, Paul, practicing for Team Redline before Max took his practice to the real game in Formula 1 around Blanchimont, and a huge accident.
Yeah, Tomo Meglic into the bus stop chicane and made contact, and that's him out of the race by the looks of things, into Justin Lindsay.
Yeah, so Toma Meglic there, unfortunately not a great event for him so far. He's out of the race, but here's Marcus Hamilton side by side with David Corps, and he is up into the 5th position, making a move here. Oh, up the order, Marcus Hamilton, who started this race on the 9th position on the grid, currently in 5th right now. So for Marcus Hamilton, 10th by 10th, driver by driver, he's picking them off one by one. And right now, Paul, Marcus Hamilton is looking to have his best event of the season. Talking about that, he's run very wide through the exit of turn 11, but it's not going to allow David Corps another look as he breaks away through Pouon.
Yeah, you can't really make a move into Pouon, or if you do, then you're very brave. But yeah, the corner with no name, running really wide, but the car always seems to understeer through that left-hander, and well, that's cost him a little bit of time, but not a position, so that's an important thing.
Here's Marcus Caton right now, the number 30 car in the 12th position on the racetrack, and he's right behind Cam Stark. Now, Stark did make his way up through the field initially. He has been passed as well. And what about Emil Henriksen? Great stuff from him. Currently in the 10th position on the grid, or in the race so far. And Cam Stark's trying to attack him right now to enter the top 10. Into the slipstream as well. Maybe a look into the final chicane. But he's a little bit too far back, Cam Stark, but he does break deep. He may have to set up Emil into that final chicane, but look at the drive that Emil gets out of that final corner, and that was two things right there. Cam Stark butchering the line through there, Paul, as well as the fact that Emil straightened that car early, and it just seemed that the balance on that TNT racing car was just amazing.
Oh, Cam Stark now under real pressure from Marcus Caton behind him, and he's in the worst place possible because Caton is right up underneath that gearbox. Look at how close he is through Eau Rouge there and through Radio. Now he's going to go down the outside. Will he be able to get past him, carry that speed all the way up the Kemmel Straight? Caton trying to make it through. He's got the slight slipstream from the car in front as well. Down the outside though, but Cam Stark able to hold on to that place at the moment as he went down the inside into the Lacombe chicane.
Oh, great driving from Cam Stark right there. Gutsy at Ricky Alatalo right now, side by side with Oscar Mangan. Here's Frederick Evers as well. And what about Pablo Lopez? Oh, it's kind of been 3 wide right there into turn 10. Pablo Lopez very, very brave. But right there, Ricky Alatalo in 16th. So this is the battle between 15th and 18th positions. Now, Pablo's fallen down the field a little bit through the early stages, but that was incredible driving from Pablo, and that's why he's got so many fans, Paul. He loves to race, and he goes all out.
The rear wing damage on Ricky Alatalo's car, that's costing him a lot of time, and that's why he went wide through Pouhon, and he's really struggling with the back end of that car, and it's showing as he's twitching all the way through there, through the Fagnes chicane, and I think he's going to have to pit this car because that is a lot of damage, and it's caused him a lot of issues through these high-speed corners as again he goes off.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that happened. It might have been on the exit of Eau Rouge, but right now Ricky Alatalo, who had such a great start, is going to have to repair that car. Michael Dinkel's gone past Vincenzo Amico while going past Ricky Alatalo, so action throughout the racetrack here today. And Michael Dinkel right there, look at the pace he's got, Paul. This is a what could have been race. The only thing that Michael has to do now is just keep his head up, and I think you'd agree with me on this because he's got the pace for top 5 or for a top 5 finish. And he was up there before. Now he's not there. He's the team captain at Vortex. He needs to set an example for his team. As right now, Marcus Caton, who's he's battling really, really close with Martin Van Loosenhoorn. We'll go back to that in a second because both he and Van Loosenhoorn on the run down to La Source once again. Lap 9 of the event, so close between the two drivers, and it might be Van Loosenhoorn into that 12th position. Great stuff from Martin Van Loosenhoorn, but Cam Stark will attack back here into turn 10. I don't think he's going to have the drive unless he's going to throw it and dive bomb under braking, and there's no space. So great stuff there from Martin Van Loosenhoorn. But back to my point there, Paul, about Michael Dinkel, is that he's the team captain at Vortex. He needs to set an example for the rest of his team here and push, and this could be the perfect event to do it at. Coming through the field after an accident and still finishing well if possible.
Yeah, if you're ever going to show your pace and your ability through this, then you've got to make it count now after having an incident, as we say. At least it happened on the first lap when the track is all a bit crowded and that, so you're able to make up those places, because if it had happened in the middle of the race then he wouldn't have been able to make up as many places. But Michael Dinkel doing a good recovery job so far. Ricky Alatalo didn't go into the pits that lap, he's still going and he's still struggling away with that rear wing damage.
Yeah, so for Ricky Alatalo it's getting worse and worse lap after lap. Now we look at lap times between the top 4 in this event, and wow, that was just awesome between Van Loosenhoorn and Caton right there on the replays. But you look at the top 4 drivers, all in the 1 minute 49.7s. Then Marcus Hamilton at 49.8 in that 5th position. Then David Corps in 6th, a 1 minute 49.9. Look how consistent and close it is between those top drivers there, Paul. Great stuff. As Alatalo right now is on the attack from Diogo Oliveira, and right behind him it's Montañez and Oliveira battling, as well as Fernando Guerrero.
Yeah, this is interesting. Ricky Alatalo did lose the place to Oliveira into the Boston up chicane, but managed to get it on the way out. But he's really having to slow down through Eau Rouge, and now that's giving everyone the chance to go through. Are they going to go 3 wide down the Kemmel Straight? You've got several cars there just trying to get past Ricky Alatalo because he's really struggling with that car for pace through the high-speed corners, but managing to stay ahead there of Fernando Guerrero at the moment, and Justin Lindsay behind as well. So they're stuck behind for the time being, but Ricky Alatalo, you would have thought he would have pitted by now, but obviously he feels he's going to try and make it to that first pit stop window.
Well, Justin Lindsay wants a piece of this battle. So does Ricardo Torres right behind. So this is the battle, believe it or not, for the last positions on the in the race so far. We have a few retirements: Fulvio Barasini, Belazaz Romaniuk, Kevin Siggy, Paul Williams, and Tomo Meglec, who we saw before. Danny Garcia-Filol, I think, has joined that list, or he's in the pit lane at the moment. I don't think he's going to rejoin the race.
He was the car that went off at the start of the race down the straight towards Eau Rouge. So that's what happened to Danny Garcia-Filol.
Yep, so unfortunate for Danny Garcia-Filol, who's had a great season for the Iberica Racing Team. But can his teammates of Marin Cholak and Pablo Lopez do the same? Cholak, who just made a small mistake, has dropped down to 8th position. And there's the action just keeps on going right now. Ruku Alatalo on the back of Fernando Guerrero while trying to pass somebody. Also under attack from a couple of drivers here, Lindsay and Ricardo Torres. And what about Torres? That lunge right there out of nowhere almost took a few drivers out. We're a quarter of the way through this race and the action is non-stop.
This is just absolutely epic, non-stop action here in the Pro Series, and well, okay, it's a battle for the last few positions, but you're battling it out because you want that. But also Michael Dinkel as well is on the move.
Yep, past Frederick Evers for 16th position, and he's setting a great example right now. If he's doing that, he's making his way back up through the field after that collision with Marin Cholak on the first lap. But what about Yao Vaz and Riley Preston in the lead right now? First and second, away from Yuta Saito and Graham Carroll. So the lead right there, it's all stayed stagnant between the top guys. And the closest battle really is for those last few positions where Riku has the damage. He's been passed by Ricardo and Justin Lindsay. And you can see him struggling as well, Paul, right now. Riku's just got no rear grip on that Glacier Racing car.
Absolutely, he's struggling with that damage, and that's why I was surprised he hasn't pitted. I just want to mention, on that last lap between the first two drivers, only 1,000th of a second difference in their lap times. Yao Vaz and Riley Preston, 1,000th of a second between them, so that just tells you how close those guys are.
Oh, here's Peter Berryman on the attack on David Corpse for P6. And Peter Berryman might indeed claim P6, has a moment in the first part of the final chicane, side by side towards the line, and he gets a great run right there as Marcus Hamilton enters the pit lane, and he's the first to pounce on that first pit stop window, which is from lap 11 to 17. He's currently right now in lap 12, so an early pit stop for him, two-stop strategy for sure, Paul. And as I said, we're expecting drivers as early as lap 11 to pit, so Marcus Hamilton right now doing exactly that, and he's out and away with a 6.2 second pit stop. Wow, that actually looks like maybe even a 3-stop.
David Decor just trying to make a move back on Peter Berryman up towards the Lacombe chicane, but Berryman has that inside line into there and manages to keep hold of that place, but that has allowed Marin Cholak now to put the pressure on David Decor, but he's having to stay behind for the time being, so close action between those three at the moment.
I think Cholak unintentionally stayed back. He got beached on that curve there, and it's an unlikely curve. You don't really use that, but he had to give Decorp some space in front. So Marin Cholak, who's looking very feisty racing here today, he's hopefully produces some great action for us. There's a few drivers who have been racing very, very hard throughout the grid. And let's see if Cam Stark down there in 11th position, who's slowly creeping up towards Martin Van Loosenhoorn. I think Van Loosenhoorn's actually gotten past him. So so that's what's happened right there. So Emil Henriksen in 9th position as well, and he's jumped up a position because of Marcus Hamilton's early pit stop. And I have a feeling here with that 6.2 second pit stop, Paul, that Marcus Hamilton's 3-stopping. And if that's the case, it could have been such a good event for him if he just decided to 2-stop. I know I'm talking early, but he needs a good result. He can't gamble with these races anymore.
No, absolutely not. You've got to make sure that you get the strategy absolutely spot on and to make that work. And unfortunately, I don't think a 3-stop will work today because it's such a long track here, and the pit lane is such a long, slow pit lane as well that you're going to lose too much time in the pits to make it count on the track. So it's really not. I don't understand that. We've got to battle Riley Preston and Yuta Saito once again down the Kemmel Straight.
Yep, Saito straight past Riley Preston for P2. They've swapped positions for the 3rd time this race. So great stuff from those two. So Riley Preston, the pole sitter, he's fallen down the order. And what about Marin Cholak here, side by side with David Corpse, and he makes his way up into P6 as well. There's so much action this race. This is great stuff from all the drivers, and I just said I wanted Marin to produce some more entertainment for us, and he's listened to me, Paul. I'm going to say that. I know it's cliched, but he's listening to us in the commentary booth, and he's done exactly what we and all the fans wanted here today. And don't forget as well, you can view in 7 days' time the new RaceSpotTV website. Stay tuned for that. Visit it now, and you'll be able to see maybe a small sneak peek of what's to come. But I'm joking, actually. You'll see that all in 7 days' time. But stay tuned for that as well. And as always, lap 13, 44 for this event. There are 2 rounds left in the Pro Series. Monza in 1 week's time, and then the Nürburgring for round 9, the final round of the series. And there are a few drivers here on the bubble, such as Fernando Guerrero there in P21, Paul, who may miss the final race there at the Nürburgring. These races need to count, and so far here at Spa, it's not looking good for him.
No, certainly not. Really struggling as it's a real challenge. We said in our little podcast that we had that our little mid-season podcast that he needs to make sure that he gets some really good results in these 2 rounds, and unfortunately, so far just not working out for Manuel Lopez. He's out on his own, really, going through the bus-stop chicane. It's down in that 17th place.
Yep, so right now Ricky Alatalo finally pits. He's out of the pit lane as well, and he's 1 lap behind, so he's letting a few drivers through here. That's Cam Stark that's just gone through.
He still looks like he's got a damaged rear wing though, so maybe they've done a little bit of a fixed job, but it's not perfect, that's for sure.
We'll see how his lap times fare. He's got fresh tyres nevertheless. And looking at our pit stop windows as well, I mentioned the one stop is from lap 11 to 17. Now, a few drivers may go past that point. Don't worry, there's still going to be 2 stopping most likely. And for that second stop of the 2-stop strategy, that'll be around lap 26 to 32. So just after 50% distance. And then that will complete the race on that tank. Now, Diogo Oliveira is only 2-3 tenths behind his teammate right now. And you look at Iberica as well. Where are they? Because I said they needed a strong result. So Cholak's in 6th and Lopez in 17th. So he's making his way up through the field a little bit. He's only gained a position because of Hamilton's pit stop. Now, what can Pablo Lopez do here in this race right now? He's 1.4 seconds behind Frederick Evers. Is there anything he can do, or should he change his strategy a little bit, or is there something else he can attempt to make his way up through the field? That's if he's lacking the pace.
If he's lacking the pace, he could maybe try and go for a little bit of a shorter middle stint, just to have a little bit of a lighter car to be able to get some faster laps in and maybe make those places up for the final stop. But even then, final stop, you're then going to have to fuel it a bit heavier. So it's a bit of a balancing act to see if you're struggling for pace, and you just got to just work hard and try and just get the best result you can out of the week.
Yeah, Martin van Loosenholt right now, he's very, very close to Emil Henriksen, but he just doesn't get the drive out of the corners. And Emil's doing a great job of that. Now, this isn't the first time I've mentioned that, Paul, because Emil Henriksen's had some great runs out of corners. But here's Martin van Loosenholt in the slipstream on towards La Source. And he's very, very close here. This is the battle for P9 and P10. Van Loosenholt gets out of the slipstream at the last second, through La Source, breaks deep, and he claims the 9th position away from Emil Henriksen into Les Combes, excuse me. And he's right there. Good stuff from Martin van Loosenholt. And he's up into that 9th position. Now, we'll go back to what I was speaking about Emil Henriksen, was he's got some great traction coming out of corners. And that's also to do, not just with setup, but it can also be with the way you balance your right foot on that throttle.
Yeah, when you've got some drivers that are a little bit heavier on the throttle, so they'll just be a little bit looser on the exit of corners. But Henriksen certainly looks like he's very kind on his throttle pedal coming out of corners, so able to control the wheel spin and get the best possible exit, especially at the slow corners like at La Source at the first hairpin or through Rivage. And well, it's certainly working for him. But as we say, Martin van Loosenholt showing he's got some good race pace.
Yeah, here's Riley Preston as Saito ducks into the pit lane at the last second. Good stuff from Yuta Saito right there. And Saito is the first of the leaders to really pit other than Marcus Hamilton. So Yuta Saito here on lap 16 of 44 for the event. Peter Berryman, doesn't join him. Nobody else does. Who joins him? Nobody does. What is this? So, Yuta Saito early to pit right now, and this could be a detriment to him. I think Riley Preston's already basically jumped him, because number one here, Paul, Preston's been slipstreaming him for quite a lot, and he could have saved a lot of fuel from that.
Yeah, absolutely, but you know, does that show that maybe Yuta was running a little bit lighter than Riley, and that's why he maybe was able to have that pace on him and keep going as he comes out now in 16th place, and he's right behind is it Frederick Evers, so not the clean air that he would have wanted coming out of the pits, but what's that, an 8.9 second pit stop, and he's also got another man, Pablo Lopez, who's obviously trying to get the jump on him down the Camel Straight using that slipstream, looking to the outside into Lecombe chicane, trying to go around the outside. Of course, Saito's tyre's not up to temperature yet, but Saito able to hold on to that place for the time being.
Yeah, Lopez very aggressive. Now, he hasn't made his pit stop yet, Pablo Lopez, so you expect him to maybe be faster than Yuta Saito and make a move on him soon, unless the tyres aren't fresh on that car, which I doubt. It's the Williams, and for those who are used to this car will understand that little joke right there. Michael Dinkel, though, he's only 4/10 behind Oscar Mangan. Oscar Mangan has the same gap behind Jonas Nukkarainen in 12th place. Now, Nukkarainen started in 28th. He's currently in 13th. What about Mangan, though? 23rd to 14th. And Michael Dinkel, who was at the back of the pack in the early laps because of that incident with Marin Cholak, these three are making their way up through the field. I think we should keep an eye on these three throughout the race here, Paul, as Briley Preston does enter the pit lane. And this will be very interesting to see whether he can jump Yuta Saito outside or the exit of the pits.
Yeah, so as we say, it's a slow pit lane here. It's a long pit lane as well. You've got that tight entry into there where it's so easy to make a mistake and to clip a wall. But here he is, Riley Preston now into his pit box, perfectly on the marks. How long will this pit stop be? He's getting the refuel, his tyres are done, and out he comes, 7.7 seconds. That's quicker than Yuta Saito, but Saito is coming round the first corner, but it's behind Evers, and Riley Preston has come out ahead of Evers. So well done to Riley Preston, making that in-lap count, that extra lap with a lighter fuel load, able to make that gap. But Evers, he's got into the slipstream, he's got the better exit out of Eau Rouge, and he's going to look down to the outside, down the Kemmel Straight. He's carrying the more speed than Riley Preston. Can he make that move, stick into Lecombe? The answer is yes, he can. And Frederick Evers, yes, he's got to pit yet, but he's ahead of Riley Preston, and Preston would not have wanted that coming out of the pits.
Yeah, good stuff there from Frederick Evers. He is lighter on fuel, we know that, but Riley Preston's now stuck behind him for a little bit, and that's going to allow Yuta Saito to reel him back in. And Preston used a little bit too much curb there, but he's alright. He'll carry on for the rest of the lap. And Yuta Saito still remains ahead of Pablo Lopez, who is definitely struggling in this race. So right now, let's see if Yavaz enters the pit lane. He's coming towards the final chicane. It's lap 17 of 44 for the event. So this is near the end of that the first stop of the two-stop. And Vaz enters the pit lane. Oh, he's on the bubble there of traction. Comes into the pits. Don't speed. He doesn't. Smart stuff. And Carroll also pits. Berryman enters the pit lane as well. Marin Cholak as well. The first pit party for round 7. And we have it here right now on lap 18.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see how these guys go. Yao Vaz, he had that about a second and a half over Riley Preston, didn't he, before Preston pitted, so it'll be interesting to see where he comes out in the scheme of things. But Yao Vaz just getting that fuel, getting those tyres done. A slightly longer pit stop than Riley Preston had, so 8.8 seconds there. And Graham Carroll and Pete Berryman coming out as well. And there's Dinkel coming, just going past Yao Vaz. So Michael Dinkel up into 6th place, Yao Vaz 7th, but crucially ahead of Riley Preston by 3.3 seconds.
Yeah, what a jump there from Yao Vaz. So it was a longer pit stop. But as we look at Michael Dinkel right now on the outside of Oscar Mangan into Lecombe here, and he's trying to close the door on him as well. Will Mangan brake late? He does. It's going to be side-by-side again through Lecombe, but Dinkel claims P5 away from Oscar Mangan, and Mangan almost, that was very, very close to Yao Vaz, the leader, and this is costing Yao Vaz some time. He's already lost about 7/10 here, Paul, the leader. So all that effort he put in, the smart strategy he used to gain that lead, going longer as well, quicker in the pit lane, it could all go to waste here for Yao Vaz. It's already 2.3 seconds between him and Riley Preston.
Yeah, so already Preston able to catch up about a second just from that little mistake by Oscar Mangan up at Lecombe. But yeah, fantastic work from Riley Preston just to be... His tyres, of course, are up to temperature now. He's absolutely on the pace. He's pushing the limits of the track to that very limit. He's on the edge of adhesion. He's using every bit of curb where he can without getting any off-track penalties. So, yeah, Riley Preston really pushing hard at this moment in time.
Yeah, we missed it, and a lovely move by Pablo Lopez around Eau Rouge of Graham Carroll, who exited the pit lane. So for Carroll right now, he's stuck behind Pablo Lopez. We have to give credit there to GoPro, and he's currently in P10 right now. Mangan enters the pit lane, and so does David de Corps ahead of him. So de Corps looking for his box, and is that... Well, there's a lot of names shuffling around here, and then Martin van Loosenhout, I think I mentioned. Oscar Mangan, yes.
Cam Stark,
he enters the pit lane. So they're definitely two-stopping. It's not about 50% of the distance yet. So Dimitri Yanis and Michael Dinkel haven't made their pit stop. I have a feeling right now, Paul, that if anybody is going to attempt a one-stop, you know where I'm going to with this. It is Michael Dinkel, and I just hope that he's going for that one-stop. If he is in a lovely position for this race. He's only 3 laps away from 50% distance. You'd think it'd be illogical for him to go for a two-stop at this point.
And yet, if you think as well, he had that incident at the start of the race as well. So Michael doing a fantastic job to be up in second place as we've got issues for Diogo.
Oh, Diogo Oliveira was so close there to Jorge Montañez on towards Lecombe. That was so, I don't know, there was no room between the two cars. They were basically inside of each other. So a great racing for the both of them. Here's Marin Cholak with David de Corps as well. Wonderful stuff here from all the drivers right now. Marin Cholak trying to make his move past David de Corps on towards Pouon, maybe up the inside. No room for the both of them. And de Corps goes and makes his way through and keeps that 11th position. But here's Fernando Guerrero, hasn't made his pit stop as well. He's under attack from Van Loosenhout, who's exited the pit lane this lap. Fernando Guerrero probably on that one stop most likely. And oh, it's a very big train right here, Paul, in the middle of the pack.
I think that was a little bit naive from Marin Cholak, and I know it's rich of me to say that, but he compromised his line into Pouon, and he's lost a good 0.4 of a second because of that. And really, you know, he should have stayed in the draft there and kept right up behind Diego Oliveira. But contact.
Oh, and that's almost claimed Fernando Guerrero as well. Oh, and they've made contact right there. So that's Marin Cholak and David de Corps. And Guerrero's entered the pit lane right now, but I think Marin Cholak, he braked very deep under braking right there. We look at the replay of the incident right now, and unfortunately right there for David de Corps, he's been collected by Marin Cholak, who's completely missed his braking point. Now, where he could have made the corner if de Corps wasn't there, but unfortunate right there, you'd have to put the blame on Marin Cholak.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a desperate move, maybe too late on the brakes, and that's cost it's cost Cholak big, and it's cost Decor a few places, as there was a big coming together as well behind them, just rear-ending. It was Rico Alatello as well getting into the back of a car there, yeah, causing 4 cars to be involved in an incident there, and Alatello, well, it looks like he's out of the race now.
Yeah, oh wow. So Ricky Alatello's race is over. He joins that list of Meglic, Filol, Williams, Siggy, Reminiak and Barazzini as our 7 retirements for this event. Guerrero exits the pit lane and he's right behind Justin Lindsay for the VRS, the Virtual Racing School, Coanda Sim Sport team, rebranded, new sponsor. And they'll be hoping in 2016 they maybe claim another world title for that team. We know back when they were My3ID, the man who's broadcasting for us today, Paul, is Hugo Luis right there as Dimitri Yanis pits. And he was the last non-Gregor Hutu world champion. So Coanda will hopefully do that this year again.
Absolutely. Michael Dinkel pits as well. So that'll mean that Jan Vaz will take the lead again. But yeah, Dimitri Yanis, he's done well there. He had about an 11-second lead over his teammate while he was coming into the pit. So where he feeds out now will be interesting. And I don't know whether that's quite a one-stop fuel, because it's only 8.1 seconds is that pit stop. So Michael Dinkel will see what his pit stop is like. But you would have thought...
One stop.
8
It's
seconds.
one stop.
Is 8 seconds enough for one stop?
Oh, I hope so. I don't think it is, but I really hope so. He exits the pit lane right now. You can tell how eager I am for somebody just to attempt a one stop, because they're all afraid here at Spa, and they just have to. But as Yalvaz right now on lap 21 of this event, he's on towards turn 11, the no-name corner, on towards pool 1. He leads by 1.9 seconds ahead of Riley Preston as Yanis makes that pit stop. And it's Yuta Saito is second behind them. Graham Carroll in 4th position for the Apex Racing UK team. And then it is Marcus Hamilton in 5th, right ahead by 3.3 seconds ahead of Peter Berryman. Then it's Dimitri Yanis, I think, in 7th position. It is indeed right ahead of Jorge Montañez. Then Martin van Loosenhoorn and David Korps round out our top 10. A few other drivers down the order. Marin Cholak, after his mistake there, will certainly receive some penalty points from the stewards. As we look at Marcus Caton and Oscar Mangum right now, that was very close into Puon, but no battle between the two of them. They're right behind Jonas Nukarainen. And then rounding out the rest of the field right there, Pablo Lopez in 19th, Vincenzo Amico 20th, and then the 4 drivers who have been battling throughout the day: Diogo Oliveira, Justin Lindsay, Ricardo Torres, and Fernando Guerrero, who is in the pit lane for another lap. You're watching the 2015-16 iRacing Road Pro Series. Johnny Simon in the commentary booth alongside Paul Smith, with Hugo Luis broadcasting for us on cameras as we enter lap 22 of 44 for this event. So Paul, right now for Yalvaz, who leads by 1.8 seconds, all he needs to do is finish this race consistently, and the same can be said for a few of the drivers behind him who need the points.
Yeah, absolutely. Just have a look at Martin van Loosenhoorn now attacking Montañez through Eau Rouge and Radio. They're behind Dimitri Yanis as well, so Yanis under pressure from those three. They're going 3 wide down towards Le Corbe. Come on, boys, just work together. Just don't try and hit each other. As round the outside goes Montañez. Of course, Montañez hasn't pitted yet, and that's allowed Martin van Loosenhoorn to go through the inside there. Just still holding that inside, going into Rivage now. But Martin van Loosenhoorn, with those fresher tyres, able to make it count, and down the inside, taking that place up to 8th place now for van Loosenhoorn.
Oh, wonderful aggression from Martin van Loosenhoorn, and that is why he is so high up in the championship right now. 3rd in the championship coming into the round, only 20 points behind Graham Carroll, and he's only 3/10 behind Dimitri Yanis right now for P7. And that's what you need, Paul, is you need to be aggressive. He's impressing right there, and we spoke about it in the latest podcast we did for the Simon Racing Report, is that Apex have been team of the season, and they've got so many drivers here out on this grid that just want to take it to the next level, Van Loosenhoorn being one of them.
Absolutely. You look at the lineup they've got today, as Van Loosenhoorn is looking all over the back of Dimitri at the moment. He's trying to get past going into Blanchimont. That's not going to work. Maybe around the outside we saw a few drivers, Max Verstappen do it, and he's made it work as well. Van Loosenhoorn around the outside of Blanchimont and into the bus stop chicane. He's got that 7th place now.
Oh, fantastic stuff from Martin van Loosenhoorn, who's up into the 7th position. 2 pit stops in 1 lap as two overtakes in 1 lap, excuse me, as Marcus Hamilton makes his pit stop, which is who I was meant to talk about. He makes his 2nd pit stop of his 3-stop strategy, most likely. And yes, it is certainly a 3-stop with that 6.8 second pit stop right there.
Montañez is in the pits.
Yeah, Jorge Montañez. So is that Montañez's first or second pit stop?
It's one stop in as well.
Oh, wow.
11.8 seconds, yeah, so that's a 1 stop. So I don't think that Dinkel and Yanis put enough fuel in for a 1-stop strategy.
Yeah, definitely not. We'll see how that evolves throughout the race. As Mangan right now, he's side by side with Marcus Caton. And almost a bit of contact between the two, but they keep it together. And good stuff right there from the both of them. But Caton steals P14 away from Oscar Mangan, one of the youngest drivers on the grid right there. And it's a learning curve for him. And I think at the moment, Mangan could be in the World Championship for 2016. He just needs to get these final few points to end the season.
Well, you look at the youth that's in the Apex Racing team. I mean, Sebastian Job, he's only, 15, 16 years old, and he's in the World Championship. So, he's good, and Mangan is, again, another youngster in this team. So there's a lot of potential in that Apex team, and with all the experience that they're gaining from these types of events, it will only help them in the long run.
Marin Cholak, I don't know if you caught that on the screens or not, but he was having a big look at David Corpse right now on towards the bus stop chicane. I do agree with you, Paul, by the way. They do have a great potential for the future, but Cholak really scared me for a second. He's not going to get past the Corpse anytime soon. But yeah, going back to that, they have some great assets for the future. It's sort of like, would you pick a team as Cholak runs very deep into that first corner? It's like, for the future right there, the amount of development and camaraderie and chemistry you can build with those drivers who they can grow together for the next few years and develop and learn off each other. It could be a huge future for that team, as Mangan right now, who's part of that team, is right onto the back of Caton. Once P14 right again. Oh, he slots straight at the last second, much like Alonso. We see it every single round, and Mangan this round wants a piece of the action. Around the outside, possibly into Lecombe. On lap 24, he claims P14 back for himself, but Caton is going to fight back as Mangan runs a little bit too deep into the corner. And what about Frederick Evers right now for Friction Racing on the back of these two? He'll be ready to pounce anytime soon. If anyone makes mistakes, as Mangan runs wide through Ravage.
Yeah, I was just about to say, look at Frederick Evers trying to sweep up and pick up any pieces from any instance, but able to stay on the track together. But Evers now putting that pressure on Caton, but Caton not giving up hope on that position from Oscar Mangan, that 14th place. We've got a couple other cars catching up behind as well. Pablo Lopez as well, he's been catching up to this. So too Marcus Hamilton, of course, who we've seen pit for a second time. So Hamilton on fresher tyres than all of these four cars, will be able to pick his way through.
Here's Marcus Caton into the slipstream of Oscar Mangan on towards Blanchimont. This will be another Van Loosenord moment. Oh, he's very, very close, but Mangan picks his lines right now. So Marcus Caton, very patient, not going to make a move until he reaches the bus stop. He'll break deep around the outside, and he'll try and slot his way through up into 14th. Mangan gives him space, and a great stuff there from both of the drivers. And where is Pablo Lopez as Frederick Evers? He falls down the order as well. He's not going to capitalize on that. He's a side-by-side right now with Marcus Hamilton, and Evers and Hamilton, both from Friction. And the teammates give each other space. What about Pablo Lopez here, Paul? On the exit of La Source, on towards Rouge and Radillon. They could make their way up through the field right now, but it seems to be Oscar Mangan on the rise.
Yeah, well, Oscar Mangan, you're more than willing to give up that position into the bus stop chicane, because going through a Rouge and down the Kemmel Straight, you're able to pick up that slipstream, and that's exactly what he's done. He's taken that position back. So, you know, the only time that you don't want to give up that position at the bus stop chicane is on the last lap, because at the rest of the time you can make that position back if you stay close to the car in front.
Yeah, talking about staying close, Yuta Saito's brought the gap down to within a second of Yuta Saito. Carroll's done the same within Saito himself. So the top four is not over. It's only 1.8 seconds between Vaz and Preston. But right now we have been
somebody's got
down the order.
Dimitri Yanis, engine blown.
Oh, Dimitri Yanis right there. Big stuff. And that seems to be on through campus or something. Very odd move there, Paul.
I'm just having a look at that now, but it's going down the hill into Pouhon,
yeah.
And the engine just goes through Pouhon. And that's really odd. Maybe he just accidentally changed down too many gears, and that's ended up blowing his engine, but he's doing the right thing, staying out of everybody's way, but that's his race over with.
Yeah, so Dimitri Yanis, 18th in the championship coming into this round. His race is all but over. Now he blocks the pit lane entry a little bit, but nobody's entering, so it's all safe for him. But I'm sure his race is almost certainly over right now for Dimitri Yanis. It'll be a long repair to put a new engine into that car, especially since it is lap 26 of 44 in this event. Here's Marcus Caton right onto the back of Oscar Mangan here.
Now this is where Caton wants to make the move. He wants to do what Mangan has done the last couple of laps, get in that slipstream out of Radio, make the move round the outside, because you're carrying so much more speed than the car alongside you, up the Kemmel Straight towards Lecombe, but Mangan seems to have a slightly lower downforce setting. He's able to keep with him, but Caton this time makes it through. Now it'll be interesting interested to see whether Caton can just pull a little bit of a gap now through the twisty stuff as Pablo Lopez straight away trying to make the move on Mangan. Mangan runs wide again into Rivage. He seems to take that wide line through Rivage. But yeah, Pablo Lopez trying his best to make up another place. He's currently in 15th. He wants as many points as he can get.
He certainly does. Great aggression from him, but he just can't get past the driver of this race. As Riley Preston now right onto the back of Yao Vaz. Very, very close as Vaz made a mistake. He lost over a second this lap as they cross the line right now. It's half a second between the two drivers. And this is the perfect time for Yuta Saito in third to maybe close the gap between the two, as well as Graham Carroll as well, because Peter Berryman there in fifth is 6.9 seconds behind Carroll. So it's really between the top four here, Paul, a fight for the lead, as Riley Preston is going to be very, very far behind, but the slipstream will help on the edge of Radillon. Right now, Riley Preston on the pursuit towards first position, into the slipstream. Will he make a move into Les Combes? But he's a little bit too far back this lap around.
That slipstream giving him about 10k extra speed down the straight, down the Kemmel straight, and it certainly showed as he closed up. But now, through the more sort of technical section of the track, it's really going to affect him with that front end downforce. But Yao Vaz, we've seen him make a mistake, so the pressure is certainly on. Yao just running a bit wide through the corner of no name, so is Riley Preston, but the two behind, Yuta Saito and Graham Carroll, they must be rubbing their hands with delight, because if these two battle away, that will bring those other two into this battle.
Yeah, we've seen that happen a lot, and we always see it in touring car racing, Paul. You know a lot about that, because the more the top guys battle, the more it reels in the guys behind. Then you get huge chaos and fireworks, and surely this race is going to end the same way, hopefully, on lap 27 of 44 for this event. That two-stop window has opened. It's between lap 26 and 32. Now, roughly between that range, guys, it's not going to be exactly the same, so don't expect the drivers to maybe pit in between that range. Could pit after, who knows. Now, right now, Riley Preston has another shot at Yao Vaz this lap around, Paul, and he's got to get a great run out of La Source.
Now, yeah, Riley Preston is a little bit closer this time by. Now, it's all about that exit, as you say, through La Source hairpin. He's right up behind Yao Vaz. He seems to get a good exit as well, but Yao Vaz as well gets a good exit. There's half a second between them going down into Eau Rouge, and you want to get that line right. You want to carry as much speed as you can through Eau Rouge, through Radillon over the top, onto the Kemmel straight now, and Riley Preston once again, he's got that slipstream, and Yao Vaz feeling the need to try and break that slipstream, weaving down the straight, maybe not sort of gentlemanly with that, going down the straight, but Yao Vaz making the most of it, and he's still 0.4 of a second ahead of Riley Preston.
Yeah, good stuff there from both the drivers. Vaz maybe a bit cheeky with the rules, but the more they fight, the more pleased Yuta Saito will be. Now, another thing that comes into play is pit stops. We're expecting Yao Vaz to go the longest this stint as they all make their pit stops, but they enter that low 1 minute 49 range right now. 1 minute 49.3 for a few drivers in the top two. Yeah, Yao Vaz, I saw that as well, running very wide there. But right now, whoever pits first, it will be the biggest detriment right now out of these top four. So you want to be the last driver out there, and that will be oh so critical for this second stop.
And Riley being in the slipstream here as well is certainly helping his fuel economy, because it's, of course, he's got less drag on his car, so therefore the car's running a bit more efficiently, using less fuel. So maybe just trying to eke out that pit window a little bit more for him, but Yao Vaz, as we saw, was one of the last to pit of the lead three, so interesting to see what happens here. Preston really close through that bus stop chicane once again, and well, it's just going to last on, and Yuta Saito, each lap, is just slowly gaining on them, not sort of massive chunks, but Graham Carroll behind Yuta, 2/10 almost being taken out of him there, so Graham Carroll trying to make the move now, trying to catch up. Riley Preston through Eau Rouge there, through Radillon, not quite close enough, is it? But Yao Vaz once again just feeling the need to try and break that draft, trying to break that slipstream, and I'll tell you what, if I was the organisers, I'd maybe be having a little word with him in his ear just to say, hey, you know, one move is okay, but weaving down the straight isn't really ethically correct.
Well, he's changing his line once, but then he's going back to the racing line. There are a few people that argue that way instead. Yeah.
Thank you. Just as I took a took a drink of water. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's really, you make your one move. You should really stick to that until you get to the braking zone, not weaving halfway down the straight now. But there we go. What do I know? I'm just a touring car driver.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Hugo just messaged us and told us that does happen all the time. Especially since 2010 in the Drivers' World Championship. But then again, Paul, as you said, it can be argued either way. Different racing series, different standards, different rules. And right now for Yuta Saito, though, more interesting for him is he's made a mistake at the source.
That is really close to the back there this time by. Through Blanchimont, he was 0.2 of a second. He's right on the gearbox now. This is a battle for the lead, and Riley Preston can smell the victory in this one. He's going for it.
Good stuff from Riley Preston. Has to break deep into La Source. The exit important here on lap 30 of 44, and a decent exit, not the best, but he's been the closest. He's been all race towards that lead to claim it from Yavaz in this second stint. In the slipstream on past Eau Rouge, right past Yavaz for first position. Goes defensive as well. Vaz very, very unpredictable with his maneuvers. And they're side by side now on towards Lecom for the lead of the race with 14 laps to go. Here's Riley Preston. Vaz breaks deep and claims the lead again. Wonderful stuff from Yavaz. And he saves that first position for himself. Great stuff from both the drivers. But as we mentioned, Paul, the more they battle, the more it reels in Saito and Carroll behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Saito only 1.2 seconds behind Riley Preston at the moment, so he's still within touching distance. But Riley Preston now really putting the pressure on. He's trying everything he can to get past, but not able to make it past at the moment. But yeah, I thought Vaz went the wrong side of down Kemmel Straight, but it worked for him being on the racing line. A little bit more rubber down there, so he was able to break that a little bit later, and it certainly showed going down into the calm chicane.
Yeah, Pablo Lopez just passed Oscar Mangan as we concentrate on the lead battle. That's happened right behind us as well. So great stuff throughout the field here, right there. Mangan's only 0.3 ahead of Marcus Hamilton as well. So Hamilton having a look, but here's Riley Preston for the lead. Vaz goes defensive again. He's so unpredictable there, and I certainly think that would get a look from the stewards though. There's Fernando Guerrero, the back marker, entering the pit lane, and we begin another lap of this event. And Saito's the first to pit, so that's very surprising right there. And hopefully, I think right now, actually, Graham Carroll might jump Yuta Saito. He was very, very close. It's going to have to be a critical few laps for these top three.
Absolutely. Riley Preston not as close this time by through La Source's 0.6 coming out of the hairpin. Sorry, so Yavaz not having to go quite as aggressive with the defensive manoeuvres, but once again, just trying to cut that slipstream. Riley Preston not going all the way over to the right down the Kemmel Straight because he knew Yavaz would be coming back, so not scrubbing off as much speed by steering down the straight. But Graham Carroll, he now has to get the boot down and to go for it.
Yeah, he does, because Saito's exited the pit lane and he is in some fresh air right now. That's Fernando Guerrero in front, who also pitted the back marker, so he will get out of Yuta's way. Oh, very, very slow down the straight though, but Yuta recognizes that, and this is a critical few laps for these top four. This will decide the race almost, well, unless they do swap positions on the racetrack indeed, but right now it's important. I have a feeling, Paul, that Yavaz will go later in the stint, but for Riley Preston, he just needs to get ahead somehow. The other, and he makes a huge mistake, almost loses the car there, and that will allow Graham Carroll into the clutches for P2, but Preston saves his race at the last second.
He's lost about a second with that mistake there as Riley Preston, but yeah, that just shows the amount of pressure on these drivers. We want to see that, we'd prefer to see the moves done on the track rather than in the pits, but pit strategy is really important, and Riley Preston, as we say that, comes into the pits.
Yeah, so Riley Preston pits in, and that, well, Graham Carroll could be gifted here as well. He's earned one position away, but Preston with that mistake could allow Graham Carroll up into that second position right now. So Carroll continues for yet another lap, And we'll look at Riley Preston's mistake, which was on the exit of Stavilo on towards curve Paul Frere. So Riley Preston there, a huge moment for him, and he enters his pit box right now. It needs to be a quick stop for him here, Paul.
Pete Berriman's in the pits as well, just to let you know. But yeah, that could actually cost Riley Preston a position on Yuta Saito, because he lost about a second there as Yuta Saito comes through the first corner, La Source, and he's going to have the position on Riley Preston, and that has cost him a position. Yuta Saito up ahead of Riley Preston, and well, that was a big mistake, and it's cost dearly for Riley.
Well, great stuff from Yuta Saito here right now. So he's jumped Riley Preston as well. So this is the most interesting point of this, is where Graham Carroll and Yao Vaz will feed out. Because right now, Carroll's 1.9 seconds behind Yao Vaz for the lead. And Preston's running a bit deep into Les Combes. Now, it's really important. He can't lose his cool, Paul. You know, he is young. He's only 20 years of age. He just needs to get a great result for himself. And obviously he's had such a great consistent season so far. 10th in the championship so far. He's only had 7th position was his best result at Kota. Right now for Riley Preston, he needs to finish this race and get some good points.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the most important thing. It would be nice to get a win, but to possibly get on the podium would be good for his championship. And well, it's whether Yao Vaz stays out. Graham Carroll comes into the pits though, so the fourth man from that train is into the pits, and well, where will he feed out? Because of course he's gone about 3 laps longer than Yuta Saito, and he was only right behind Yuta Saito when he pit.
Yes, Graham Carroll right now, who searches for his box, and we've seen a couple of drivers miss their box this series. Carroll, he's waiting so long down the pit lane, gets into the box. Now, if we ever see Graham Carroll make a mistake, Paul, there's something wrong with the world, because we never see Graham Carroll make mistakes. And what a quick pit stop right there, out and away. Now, here's Saito and Preston past him, and I don't think Carroll has jumped him, or has he? Here's Saito right now, alongside Graham Carroll on the run down to Eau Rouge. This is for effectively second position on the racetrack, and Carroll is right behind him, but he'll get back into the slipstream of the Japanese driver. Riley Preston too far behind here. The battle for B2, so close between the two of them. Right here, Graham Carroll on the run down to Les Combes. It'll be a braking battle into that fourth corner. Oh, good stuff. And Graham Carroll claims the effective second position on the racetrack. Wonderful stuff. Yuta Saito drops down to effectively third. Riley Preston fourth. And wow, I'm lost for words right now, Paul. I'm lost for breath. Amazing battling here coming out of the pits.
That was a deep intake of breath there when Yuta just had to make that little duck move, little evasive manoeuvre there. But yeah, Graham Carroll showing his credentials there, coming out the pits. Remember, the tyres aren't up to temperature at that point, and to have to carry that speed through Eau Rouge and Radior, and to get that slipstream to make that work, shows just how good Graham Carroll is, as Yao Vaz now comes into the pits.
Good stuff from Yao Vaz, enters the pits from the lead. Let's see how much time he has at the buffer on Graham Carroll in second position. And for Carroll this season, he's only claimed 2 wins. He's been on the podium 3 times. He's never actually finished the race in second place. So this will be a new stat for him right there. But as Yao Vaz searches for his pit box,
Michael Dinkel comes in as well from second.
Yep, so Dinkel not one stopping, and it wouldn't work out well for him if he was, but he does indeed continue his 2-stop. And where will Yao Vaz feed out? Cam Stark takes the lead of the race, and or actually he might not, because Yao Vaz exits the pit lane in front, and he's 2.4 seconds ahead of Graham Carroll in second place.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I was Apex right now, and if Graham Carroll closes up a bit more onto the back of Cam Stark, I'd be maybe saying to Cam, just look, think of Graham Carroll possibly getting a win here. Just maybe sort of not make it difficult for him. Riley Preston, look at him behind there, just going down the outside now, trying to go into Les Combes, late on the brakes. Riley Preston, getting all sideways through there, but able to take the position from Yuta Saito. So even though he made that mistake, he was able to get back past Yuta, so he's only lost 1 place.
Wonderful move there from Riley Preston, the pole sitter in this event. Now, except for Cam Stark, Riley Preston effectively is onto the podium, and Saito will be fighting for those positions right now towards the end of the event. He won't be giving up too easily. So let's see where if Riley Preston can maybe catch back up to Graham Carroll here, Paul. Maybe a bit of a long asking for him to get right back up to Yao Vaz. Last stint it was Vaz who made the mistake that allowed him back into the clutches of Preston. But it seemed that Preston towards the end of the stint, he's also prone to making mistakes there. Everybody's human on this grid.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's because Matt Backen isn't racing today, so
Yeah.
it's showing that they are human. But yeah, it's going to be interesting now. Will Cam start coming to the pits this lap? I think he will, because he has actually said on the chat that he's coming into the pits. So perfect timing really for Graham Carroll, because he was catching up to Cam. So yeah, that was good timing from the Apex Racing UK team to have Cam start coming there and release Graham Carroll now in free air, clean air, 2.4 seconds behind Yao Vaz to try and take that win away. Yao Vaz, of course, won last time out, didn't he? So we're trying to make it 2 on the bounce.
Certainly will be as Hamilton enters the pit lane for his third and final stop. Dinkel's fed out right behind Marin Cholak, so Dinkel enters the top 10 right now. And Saito right now straight past Riley Preston, and he will put himself back into the podium contention. And I'm not going to get too excited, Paul, because these guys are probably going to be switching positions throughout the next 9 laps to conclude this event.
Absolutely. I mean, if they can work together and use that, then maybe they could draw themselves closer to the battle in front if they can just work together and use that, just swap positions. So it's kind of like on an oval, or like in a bike race of cycling race, using the peloton, using that just to try and get themselves closer. But Riley Preston just running a little bit wide there through Poulon, just losing a little bit of time on Yuta Saito. But Saito now trying to charge down Graham Carroll, and Graham Carroll's not really making any dent into Yao Vaz's lead at the moment on this lap. Yao Vaz certainly been on the pace all race.
Yes, so Saito did pit 2 laps earlier than Graham Carroll, and I don't think grip is going to help with that so far. But Reyes Riley Preston on towards Blanchimont in the slipstream as well. He might have a look into the final bus stop chicane. It was a bus stop, now it's just the final chicane at Spa, and he's very, very close up the inside as well. But Saito has the confidence under brakes, and he keeps that 3rd position ahead of Riley Preston, the pole sitter for the Evolution Racing Australia team. And Yuta Saito right now, he has the speed. It's good to see him, Paul, right now, finishing a race off strong and consistently.
Yeah, absolutely, doing a good job there, and really just making it work. Here we go, Riley Preston once again in the slipstream. Yuta Saito going into Eau Rouge and out through Radion, getting that slipstream, using that extra pace now down the straight, up Kemmel Straight. He's got about 10 kilometres, and Yuta Saito maybe just letting him by there, just maybe position himself. If they keep on doing this, it'll be down to the last lap to decide who gets that position.
Yeah, see, I told you not to get excited. They've been doing it all race, and they're going to do it towards the conclusion of the event right now. So Preston and Saito battling for that final podium position, and this is just allowing championship leader Graham Carroll to break away in 2nd place. And Yao Vaz has the lead here for the Orion Racing team. Where's his
Graham Carroll's run wide. He's run wide through
Poulon right there. So
again, Graham Carroll making a mistake. Something is wrong with the world today. I think hell's about to freeze over.
He's just trying to make the race more exciting. He probably thinks it's not as exciting, but it's been too exciting today, and someone needs to tell him to just take it down a notch, you know? Because if he's making mistakes, as you said, Paul, and as I said before, there's something wrong with the world, but he's still in 2nd position. He's only lost a few tenths to Yao Vaz. And right now, though, he's still 1.1 seconds ahead of Riley Preston. And Saito is really the big challenger in this, because he's in 4th place, and he's the one chasing. So as Marcus Hamilton has gotten past Pablo Lopez, right now for Yuta Saito on the exit of La Source, he's too far behind here. And I think that early pit stop and that short 2nd stint is not going to help Yuta Saito's enter the race.
His tyres will be, well, they'll be a lap older than Riley Preston's, about 2 laps older than Graham Carroll's, but Graham, as we've seen, has made mistakes, so too has Riley Preston. The only man who hasn't really made mistakes, he has made one mistake, is Yao Vaz. So everybody just keep keep in position at the moment. They're deciding not to go fighting each other and keep in position. So up at the front, it's pretty much as you were at the moment. Diego Oliveira, he's been closing up to Amico. He's right in the back, actually, is Oliveira going into La Source. And he's going to try and use the slipstream now to go through Rouge and to make that move up the Camel Straight.
Vincenzo Amico is hanging around the back of the grid throughout the series. Diogo Oliveira is not really familiar to this sort of place. He's trying to make his way up through the field. And they're right now tucking into the slipstream. The battle for P17 here with 7 laps to go in the race. And Diogo Oliveira is very, very close right now. Not giving any room to Vincenzo Amico. But there we go. Straight candy from a baby move in the end. And Diogo Oliveira up into P17 on the racetrack. A few other close battles throughout the field. Yuta Saito, 8 tenths behind Riley Preston, as Vincenzo tries to fight back there, not too far behind. Pablo Lopez in 15th, and we look at a few movers throughout the field here today, Paul. Martin Van Loosenholt started 18th, currently in 6th, though. Great start from him. What about Jonas Nukarainen? Started 28th, currently in 11th position. Now, because you have such a huge grid, you're expecting a few drivers from the back to make their way up through the field and stay consistent and out of trouble.
Yeah, Eunice done a good job there. I'm just looking through. I mean, some of the big losers, of course. I'd say the big loser of this race was Danny Garcia Falol having that accident right at the start of the race, going down the hill towards Rouge. So, I mean, that's a big one for him, because he was 4th in the championship. So that's a big dent on his championship hopes. But the main thing is getting that world championship license. But yeah, some big movers, Van Loosenholt, as you say. But yeah, Nukarainen certainly doing a fantastic job so far today. He's kind of on his own there, really, but he's still keeping going.
Yeah, it's been a great race from a lot of drivers throughout this field right now, and joining that list of retirements is Jorge Montañez, a little bit of an error as well. Dimitri Yanis we saw earlier, Riku Alatalo with his damage, and Tomo Meglic, who's unfortunately not had the best of rounds for him. Danny Garcia Falol on the first lap of the event, not able to join the rest of the field after repairing his damage. Kevin Sigi also joins that list along with Paul Williams, Balazar Remenick and Fulvio Barazzini. The gap between P1 and P2 is 2.8 seconds now as Yalvaz runs away with the lead and possibly his second win of the series. And this is a great comeback for him, Paul, because at Interlagos, where he could have possibly won that race, now if he didn't win, he would have at least finished in second before both himself and the backmarker Paul Williams collected each other. It goes to show that with perseverance and hard work, you can still maintain great results in any form of motorsport.
Yeah, absolutely. You can. It's all about picking yourself up, and if you've got that mental capacity, the ability to keep focused and not let it get to you, because it can be a knock on the confidence there. It's frustrating, but you can't let that affect you. And certainly now is certainly showing with the second half of the season that it's not affecting him, and he's pushing on.
So with 5 laps to go in this event, don't forget the new McLaren MP430 as well as the Nürburgring have been released for iRacing. Check them out, get involved as well. Lots of deals and subscriptions available to join the service if you're new to iRacing. And if you're not new, get the new McLaren, get the new Nürburgring racetrack. They're great, they're entertaining and they're fun. We did a nice review of them, Paul, as well with Michael Dinkel, who spoke about the McLaren on the Simon Racing Report. You can check that out on at the SimonRacingReport.com, and the new website there looking very slim, smooth, and like butter, you could say. And we also did a pod for the grid season recap for this series as well. Check that out if you want to listen to that. But nevertheless, with 5 laps remaining, it is Yalvaz who still leads this race ahead of Graham Carroll by 2.8 seconds, ahead of Riley Preston by 1.5 seconds, who's ahead of Yuta Saito by 1.7 seconds. Then it's Peter Berryman in the 5th position for the Apex Racing UK team. His teammate Martin Van Loosenholt is 6.3 seconds behind him. Then it's David Korps, teammate of Orion Racing Team's Yalvaz, in 7th position. Marin Cholak, the top Iberica Racing driver here today in 8th position, had a few moments and incidents, so he'll certainly be hearing from the stewards after this race. Michael Dinkel in the 9th position for Vortex Sim Racing. Rounding out the top 10, it is Cam Stark for the Apex Racing UK team once again. Good race from Cam Stark here for Paul. He's been a bit quiet and he's been in a few battles, but not towards the end of the race. And he's still going to claim a top 10 result.
Yeah, as we said, Mr. Reliable Cam Stark. Someone who's
Iron
not
Man.
really, yeah, Iron Man, absolutely. He's finished every lap of the season as well, hasn't he? So on to carry that on, and it'll be interesting to see. Well, Danny Garcia Falol was one of those who completed every lap, so that's another one off of that list. So only 3 left that completed every lap. So I know we don't like to bombard people with stats here, but I always think that's an interesting one. 3 drivers left who can say they've completed every lap. So Cam, the Iron Man himself, on his own at the moment, really. 5.8 seconds behind Michael Dinkel, but 6.4 ahead of Jonas Nukarainen. So again, being on your own on the track, I don't know how you find it, Johnny, but it's you really have to focus yourself if you're just in that gap or that bubble where you can't really see the car in front, you can't really see the car behind, but you've just got to keep on pushing yourself to keep the pace up.
Yeah, from experience, there are some drivers who find it boring. I've found it boring before, being on your own on the racetrack, whether you're first, last, wherever. But there are ways you keep yourself entertained. I remember there was one race on my own where you just look at the gap, the timing gap between you and the driver behind, and then all of a sudden 10 laps have passed, and you just didn't think that 10 laps have passed. So that's a way to sort of get your way through the end of the race, is not to think about how many laps are left or anything. Just take it, corner by corner, not think about anything else other than the gap between you and the drivers behind. But speaking about that right now, it was identical lap times between Vaz and Carroll last time around, 1 minute 49.4 for both of them. But the gap's 3.1 seconds now. It seems that Vaz is... Carroll did pit on lap 33 of the event, whereas Vaz did pit on lap 34. Maybe that little extra grip that Vaz has with the tyres is giving a little bit 10th by 10th. Not last lap, but throughout the final stint.
Yeah, I think you can see with all 4 of these drivers, especially with Riley and Nuta, that you can see how the earlier pit stops have affected them, because Utah is now 2 seconds behind Riley Preston, and just slowly, gradually just falling back a little bit. And Riley Preston is falling back from Graham Carroll as well, so I think it is showing now with those newer tyres. It just helps towards the end of that race, and having that short final stint maybe means that you can just push a little bit harder as well.
Closest battle throughout the field is with Michael Dinkel and Marin Cholak. Is something wrong with Michael Dinkel? No, he's okay. Michael Dinkel is currently in the 9th position on the racetrack, and he's 8 tenths behind Marin Cholak right now. And the latter stages of this event, it seems to me that Michael does need the points, Paul. Is it worth it? I have a feeling that 8th and 9th give the same points away. There's a weird point system introduced for this series, but yeah, I think for Michael right now, there's no need to be aggressive. I'm not sure if you agree with me. He should just settle in for that 9th position, because Cam Stark's 6.8 seconds behind.
Yeah, he's not got the pressure behind, but you would like to get another position. It's all about pride, isn't it? Really, with the racing drivers, they want to win, and if they don't win, then they're not happy at all. But Dinkel just appearing to have a little bit of a few technical issues there, but it's still going. But that's certainly going to not help Marin Cholak if he's flashing away like that if he gets any closer.
So right now, for Vaz, still identical lap times to Graham Carroll. Yeah, for all the entertainment that's happened on in this race, Paul, it wasn't the finish we'd hoped at the moment, as Saito's fallen back down from Riley Preston. The gap between him and Carroll sort of kept itself at bay. But at the moment, for a man named Peter Berryman, who's 12.8 seconds away from the lead, you could say he's finished in 5th position here, Paul. But he should walk away with his head high, you could say, because number one, he's been consistent, he hasn't made mistakes, and he's only 12.8 seconds away from the lead. It's not like he's finished away 35 seconds, while Cholak right now has made a huge mistake and he's crashed off the racetrack, and that's race over for Marin Cholak here, Paul.
That is a massive amount of damage there on the front of his car, and he's lost control through Lacombe. The back end's cooked out and bang into the tyre wall. That's a heavy contact with that tyre wall. It's got a lot of damage on the front of that car, and it'll be interesting to see if he can actually make it back round to the pits. But he's certainly struggling with that car, and Michael Dinkle didn't have to do much for getting that place off of him.
Yeah, so there we go. Marin Cholak's race is not over. He's going to try and make it to the end. It's lap 42 of 44. Now it's 43 as Vaz crosses the line, the penultimate lap of the event for Yao Vaz. And right there for the Iberica Racing team. It hasn't been there. Oh, as very hair-raising as Henriksen and Caton make their way past the stranded Marin Cholak.
I tell you, the battle that's at the moment is Pablo Lopez, Mangan and Oliveira. They're all battling away for that 15th place. They're going to catch up to Cholak, but Lopez going slightly slower, and Mangan round the outside through before Blanchimont and able to make that position up. So Oscar Mangan up to 15th place.
Good stuff, Oscar Mangan right there, the young man, and he's ahead of Pablo Lopez.
Is Lopez having a fuel serve? Because he was running slower down the straights, down the back straights than Oscar Mangan. So I'm wondering if he's maybe just having to back off a little bit off the throttle.
Let's have a listen to Pablo Lopez here then, on the run out of Eau Rouge. Excuse me, out of La Source, I should say. Yeah, he certainly is. Whoa, on the run out of Radillon, and he almost crashed into Marin Cholak, his teammate. That was very hair-raising. Cholak is out of the race as well. That's not an incident limit, I don't think. I'm not sure what that was. But for Pablo Lopez right there, it could have been a double whammy for the Iberica Racing team. And he's currently in 16th position. He'll fight back from this. He needs the points, and he'll surely get his World Championship license for next year. But as we talk about that, we'll see if Lopez is indeed fuel saving here, Paul. And I think he is indeed. It seems he's backing off quite a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. Vaz going across the line to start the last lap, so 3.1, 3.2 seconds ahead of Graham Carroll. It's been a very good race from Yao Vaz, who took the lead at the start of that race, and on that first lap down through into Eau Rouge, where it's just gone through now. But Yao Vaz has looked imperious up at the front, and only the one mistake really from him that meant that Riley Preston had a chance. But Riley Preston, I'd say, he'll be disappointed not to win this race after starting on pole position, but still third place. It's a very good position for his point standing to be able to get that World Championship licence.
Yeah, you could almost lock in Yao Vaz. Carroll's obviously probably locked in as well mathematically, I'm not sure. But Preston as well, you could probably lock in for a licence. This is a perfect result for Yuta Saito, who was in the 22nd position in the championship coming into this round. He was only 2 points away from 25th as well, don't forget. So for Saito, coming in with a strong result right here, this will be his best finish of the season. He's had 2 5th place finishes. This will be a 4th place for him right here. But for the Orion Racing team in Yao Vaz, it's been oh so good for him, Paul.
Absolutely. Pablo Lopez has lost another position now to Vincenzo Amico, so that's an issue as Caton as well. He's battling away with Emil Henriksen going into Rivage.
Yeah, very close between Caton and Henriksen on the final lap. We'll keep our eyes on that. But as Yao Vaz closes into the final chicane, it is the second win of the season for Yao Vaz. He has one more corner to go. The Orion Racing team claim their second win of the Pro Series for round 7, and it is Yao Vaz who claims honours once again here at Spa. Great win from Yao Vaz, who wins round 7 of the Pro Series. Graham Carroll for the Apex Racing UK team comes home in second. Then it's Riley Preston for Evolution Racing Australia, who claims that final podium position. What a result for Riley Preston. And what about Yuta Saito? Great result for him. A season best 4th place. And Peter Berryman comes home with a very slow 5th position. So not a slow, very for him it would have been a slow race, very boring race for him. He's come home consistently, and very great result for Peter Berryman in 5th place. And then it's Martin Van
Caton into the final corner. Oh, makes that move stick down the inside of Henriksen. Fantastic work from Caton there to push through and make that gap, but on the last lap getting that 11th place, so well done Caton for making that position up there. Sorry to interrupt there, Johnny.
No, it's all good. I apologise for my my bad choice of word. It wasn't a slow race for Peter Berryman. It was a very boring race for him, you could say, there in 5th position. But he comes home with a wonderful result. A great battle there, though, with Henriksen and Caton. In the end, though, it is Caton who claims 11th position. A great battle between them. The rest of the top 10, it's David de Korps, and don't forget Martin van Loosenhoorn in 6th, and then Michael Dinkel, Cam Stark, and Jonas Nukkarainen, who comes home in 10th, Paul, starting from 28th.
Fantastic result for Jonas there, to say that he started so far down, and Pablo Lopez just saying that, yeah, he had no fuel towards the end of that race, so yeah, having to do fuel saving as we thought.
Right now we will have a look at João Vaz, who's on towards that Stavilo. It is, so he'll claim his 2nd win of the season. Pablo Lopez has no fuel across the line, and I think, yeah, he's run out of fuel. No, he's crossed the line. He's at Eau Rouge with no fuel left, so he was certainly on the bubble there, Paul. But we look at the final results for the race here today, and it is João Vaz who leads and wins his 2nd win of the season for the Orion Racing team. Behind him, it's Graham Carroll in 2nd, Riley Preston in 3rd. What about Yuta Saito in 4th position? What a wonderful result for him. He needed that as well. And Peter Berryman in 5th position, up 1 spot from his starting grid. And then Martin van Loosenhoorn started in 18th, finished in 6th. Good result for him. What about David de Korps there in 8th? Who started 8th, finished in 7th. I keep missing Martin van Loosenhoorn. I did say him actually, from 18th to 6th. Michael Dinkel, great result, did start 5th. With some first lap contact, still came home 26.9 seconds away from the lead. What a wonderful race from Michael Dinkel. Cam Stark in 9th position. Rounding out the top 10, it is Jonas Nukkarainen in 10th. Great move from Marcus Caton on that final lap on Emil Henriksen. And Emil Henriksen came home in 12th. What about Marcus Hamilton though in 13th? Down 4 positions from his top 10 starting spot in 9th. The rest of the grid on your screen as well. Now, we'll hopefully get some post-race interviews for you shortly, but at the moment no one's showed up, so we'll get them to you shortly. But for now, though, you're watching the 2015 iRacing Road Pro Series. Do not leave us. In just over a minute's time, you'll have post-race coverage here, live on iRacingLive and RaceSpotTV.
Truex in the outside, contact made, 56 slides it at a 4, who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
post-race coverage for the iRacing Road Pro Series right here live on iRacingLive and RaceSpotTV. We've just concluded round 7 at Spa-Francorchamps. Only 2 rounds to go after this at Monza and the Nürburgring. It was Vaz who claimed the top step of the podium ahead of Graham Carroll in 2nd place and Riley Preston, who rounded out the podium. Vaz isn't available to speak today. We'll head straight over to Apex Racing UK's Graham Carroll. Now Graham, out of nowhere, as Riley just told us in the ad break, out of nowhere that race, you did start in 4th, came into 2nd. It all came into play after that 2nd pit stop.
Again, it was absolute top job by Alex Simpson and all the boys at Apex Racing UK, just with fuel strategies, tyre pressures, everything just worked well for us. And to be fair, sitting behind Riley, no offence, and Utah, when their cars are going along upside down on the track, bouncing all over the track, it's kind of hard to push, because I'm kind of in the position I am in the championship, if one of them take me out due to some lag or something, it's just not worth it. So when I looked at who was around me and the championship guys, Kulak and your Danny and Martin, they were all quite far down, so I was happy to just finish 4th, to be fair, and I knew it was heavier on fuel, and we just played the long game and picked a few of them off throughout the race, and it worked out really well.
About your strategy, were there any mid-race adjustments you had to make to claim that 2nd position, or did you go with what you and the team had set for yourself towards the start of the race?
Yeah, no, we just went exactly how I've been testing all week, and again, just a bit shaky at the start and in qualifying due to how we're sort of lying in the championship and knowing that one wee error can kind of change it a lot. So, we just stuck with what we had, and again, after the first stop, we know we just needed to finish, and it paid off really well. And congrats to the winner and Riley in 3rd as well. And it was a good race all round.
Any final thank yous or anything? The season's almost coming to the end. You must be tearing up a little bit. You've almost got this championship over and done with.
Oh, I know. For day 1 to now, I'd never think it was going to go how it went and how it's turned out, getting a few wins. And again, Alex at Apex Racing, all the pro guys, everyone in the team. Got to say a big shout out to my old man as well, getting involved a bit lately. And all our sponsors, and we just hopefully we can keep it up for the next 2 rounds, and I'm not going to get a lot of testing in for Monza. I'm at the Autosport show next weekend, so coming back for it actually, just that one day, and it is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I think I need to be here. So it's thanks to all the guys anyway, we've done a good job so far.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Graham Carroll, who came home in the 2nd position. Vaz has joined us, the race winner, but we'll go to Riley Preston next. We'll go to Yaz last, save the best till last, who won this race. But Paul Smith is sitting alongside the Australian.
Yeah, Riley Preston, fantastic pole position from yourself by 0.2 of a second. And just at the start there, just talk us through the start, because you seem to get away okay, but then coming down to Eau Rouge, just deciding to maybe give that place up for the time being, just to stop yourself having any accident, really.
Yeah, that was a bit close. I got off the line okay and got a bit of wheel spin, and Yao got up beside me. I didn't really want to go through Eau Rouge side by side. I thought he would lift out, but it didn't look like he was going to. I just lifted out. I think someone behind me almost hit me, but I survived, so it's all good.
And then we saw later on in the race, of course, Yao just made that little mistake, and you were able to get right onto the back of him and challenge him for the position up into the Lacombe chicane. Just talk us through that, because it just looked to be lap after lap. You were just trying to make it through and unfortunately not able to make that stick.
Yeah, I just couldn't find a way through. Yao was defending really well, and I think he just had the pace. He made a little mistake, but he was on average about a 10th faster than me. But still, the podium, very happy with that. It's good.
I was going to say, in the end there, you're finishing 3rd place behind Graham there. It's good for your championship points, and it's good for you to get that World Championship licence. Is that basically the main aim, just to get that licence, and that podium has helped you along the way?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, my series hasn't gone very well so far, but to get the podium, that was my aim for the start of the season. They're really happy with that. And also, I'd like to thank Evolution Racing Australia for all the help they give me, especially Ian Ford for spotting me this race and helping with all the setup. Also, thanks to the sponsors Maverick Welding, RaceSpot, and Demidov.
Well, you saved me a final question there, Riley, so thanks a lot for joining us, and well done on the podium there.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll speak to Ian Ford. Ian, stay with us. Don't leave. We'll speak to you afterwards. Part of the Evolution Racing Australia team. But next is race winner Yao Vaz from the Orion Racing team. And Yao, it was a great win for you. Talk about your start first of all. The start of the race right there, alongside Riley into turn one. Was it very nervous for you there, attacking him, or were you quite calm on the grid?
Well, sometimes you just have to act on instincts. I had a good start. I had a little bit of wheel spin, but what changed the pace for me after turn one was shifting to first gear, and I noticed Riley was a little bit slower after turn one. So with first gear, I was able to get up to pace very quickly, and we were side by side. And from then on, it was just bluffing, to see who lifted first. I was going to lift just a tad before he did, and okay, he lifted, so let's go. It was quite fun. It was okay. I trust Riley a lot. He's a fantastic, outstanding driver. We were practicing together in the service before, and it was okay. So I knew that he would do the right thing, and I would do the right thing, of course, and it would all be safe if we went side by side. But fortunately, it was not needed. So yeah, it was fantastic.
About the rest of the race for you, were you expecting a race win out of this, or did you just want to take it lap by lap and not expect anything from second on the grid? Surely you would have thought you could claim your second win straight away after the end of qualifying.
Well, I had that hope, but I wasn't thinking about a race win. I was just honestly thinking about finishing the race. The higher, the better. This season hasn't been so good for me, but fortunately, I'm able to put on some good results. But the expectation for the race was absolutely not the win. I knew that I had a pace, but actually, I drove about 95% most of the time, and just wanted to be safe. The only time where I really pushed a lot was after I made that little mistake, and Riley came up close and very fast, and it was very tense moments in my race. But no, I wasn't expecting the win, and I'm very, very happy for taking home the win this time by.
You say you're very happy about that. Then what is the rest of the goals for the Pro Series? Are you going to complete the next 2 rounds, or do you think you're already guaranteed, or are you aiming for anything in terms of development? Are you bored with the Williams? What's the goal for Monza and Nürburgring?
Absolutely flat out. I'm going to drive the next races and do
Yes.
my best. Yeah, I love racing, man. I'm just going to keep racing. That's it. So if I have the chance to race with such a fantastic group, of course I'm going to take that chance. I don't care what comes next, but what I do is I love racing. So the team is awesome. All the drivers in the Pro Series are awesome. You guys are awesome. The officials are awesome. Everything is awesome. I really love racing here. So yeah, just keep on racing.
Thanks for the kind words. Any more kind words? We might have to take your race win away and tell the stewards. No, joking. Great stuff from Yao Vaz there, who won the race and claims his second win of the season. Next on the list is Ian Ford from Evolution Racing Australia. Now, Ian, you weren't racing here today, but you were helping Riley out in down the back rooms. And what was different today between Riley's other approaches, to each of his events? Because today it was his best result of the season. He must have done something differently.
Oh, he's going to love my answer. I'm going to say it's his self-belief. He just went into the race looking a bit more confident than normal. Like usually it's you get that bit of butterflies in the stomach heading into a race and qualifying and all that. And today he just went in with an idea of he's been doing pretty well in the practice sessions, so hopefully it all works out. And I just had to keep him on track a couple of times throughout the race, but in the end he got there. So that's what believing in yourself does.
What's the future for Evolution Racing Australia in the World Championship? Because there's a lot of drivers in that team who want to race in the World Championship, but they can't obviously get their license. So how are they going to help Riley out throughout the year?
There's a few of us that are practicing in the over in the McLaren, trying to get the setups all together for that. So when Riley's hopefully gets into the World Championship, we're all just going to follow suit and already have the setups rolling, already have an idea of what the car needs and all that sort of thing, especially with the electronics and all that sort of thing in the car. It's so much different to the Williams. And other than that, we just basically jump between cars, make sure that the setups are working good for everyone. There's me, Benny Smith, a few of the other guys. They've already got pro licenses from GT3, but you know, the main idea is to try and see if we can get at least like half the team with pro licenses by the end of the year. So we'll be working hard in every series we can.
I think Riley thanked a lot of sponsors, but go ahead again. I'll give you a second shot at it.
Thanks for that. I only jumped in here to make sure he remembered everyone, and then
That's
I just got roped in. So yeah, thank Maverick Welding, Demidov Innovations, especially RaceSpotTV, doing such a good job with the broadcast. It was so good to watch tonight. And yeah, absolutely everyone that puts in time and hours to make the series as good as it is.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Ian. And there's Ian Ford from Evolution Racing Australia, working behind the scenes to support Riley Preston to his first podium of the season. And Paul, we'll go back to Yao Vaz, who won this race. He said he's going to be flat out for the next 2 rounds of the series. I'm assuming right now for Yao, if he's going to learn anything, it's going to be to push all the way to the limit, get that experience, and in the McLaren, who knows his improvement in that car, because we've seen him race like this before last year and a few years ago, but you know, every time we see him out there on the racetrack, he seems to just take a little bit of a step up each time around, and it could prove its worth here in the new car.
Absolutely, and with it being a new car, it's a new era, you know. Maybe some new drivers can come through to the fore. Maybe the car suits their driving style compared to the Williams, so it could produce closer racing, and for Yao, it's a great opportunity for him to be able to push on and maybe sort of cement his place in the World Championship, and then start pushing forward and pushing for wins and titles in the future.
Final question before we wrap up the broadcast is Graham Carroll right now is running away with this championship, and it just seemed today that apart from his teammate Peter Berryman, it just seemed that nobody else, other than maybe Martin Van Loosenhoorn as well, the 3 Apex Racing UK cars, they've been so consistent this season, and in the end they always find a way to finish right up there. Is there some sort of secret formula you could say that they're using or something like that, Paul? Because they always seem to find their way up through the field.
It looks like just a lot of hard work and them being able to know. I mean, they must know that car inside out by now, and they really are just trying to keep that consistency up, keep on pushing forward. Because at the end of the day, you need to get as much practice, sort of pushing to the limit in this series as Yao is, to be able to get ready for the World Championship, because you will have to push to the limit every race of every lap of every race. So it's worth just keeping pushing and trying hard in that in these final few races.
Let's see what they do in those final few races. The next round, the penultimate round of the series, is in 7 days' time on the 16th of January for 53 laps of racing at Monza. That'll be at 1:30 p.m. GMT. Thanks as always to Paul Smith and Hugo Luis broadcasting for us. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation. Thanks as well to iRacingLive and Wern Design and Istvan Valor for his track camera work. For now, we'll say so long and see you in 7 days' time at Monza.